Hey everybody, Yamez with Island Metal Forge. This is my first video in a series for Island Metal Electric, let's call it. And I'm going to be working on adding a circuit. Actually, I'm going to be adding two circuits. I'm going to be doing a double outlet called a quad, what we call a quad. It's two outlets. It's two outlets in one device. You may see them floating around my shop here and there. This one I've got on an extension cord. I kind of want to move away from extension cords. However, I will be installing it right off of my panel, right about here, just so that it's there. Or maybe a little bit lower. We'll see. But I'm gonna open up the panel. You'll see what the inside of the panel looks like. Consider this like the intro to electric video. You guys will see what the inside of a panel looks like, how a breaker clips on, all of that. Everything needed to know to add a breaker space with wire to a box with the outlets. Enjoy it, and I hope you learned something. Alright, so this is one of the boxes. I already put the box that I'm going to be using up, but as you can see, and they make many other boxes. They make different styles. This is like a deep 1900 box. They make the little plastic blue ones, which are really simple to use. You just nail it on and put the wire in it. But for a shop, I prefer to use... armored cable. And this is 12-3 armored cable. It has 3 feed wires and then a ground. Well, 2 hots, a neutral, and a ground is how it's called 12-3. Even though there's 4 wires in it. The main part right now is you see on the inside all of these knockouts, they're called. And that, like all you do to knock them out is you hit them and it pops open like that. Then you just grab it and twist and it pops off. I'm not going to do that to this one yet because I don't know what I'm going to do with it. But let me come in right here. There you go. Simple. And if we're going to use those for forging, they're galvanized. All right. Next thing you're going to need is clamp connectors. And that is really simple. You need 2, one for each side, a lock nut, and then the connector. And that goes right in, tightens down, and this will work for the armored cable or the regular NM. If you're using pipe, that's a whole nother ball game, and I can do later on some pipe videos. I just don't have any laying around. Open that all the way up. Now I'm going to take a knockout out of the panel here, which I have opened up, and I'm going to path it up and over and in instead of, that'll give me a nice aesthetic look. So I'm just going to, and all of this is live right now. I'm being very careful. So I'm just going to knock out a bit right here and grab that out. You can also take a screwdriver. I don't do it with this screwdriver because I don't like banging on it, but you can. You use a screwdriver and tap, tap. If you're trying to get into a tight spot, grip it and pull it out. Then you take your other one, your other connector, and like the first one, you put it in. Boom. That's in there. So open the screws. Okay. Now I am showing you the ways to do things without buying any specialty electric tools. I don't have it out here with me. It's in my work truck right now, but they make a cutter specifically for this cable where it cuts a line right there, just a short little half-inch line without hitting the wire, and then you just untwist it, pull it off. However, this actually couldn't be simpler. You take where you want to break, or where you want to cut it and break it, you give it a pop, and it opens up, like so. And then you find out the way it's twisting, and you untwist it. Right there. Just untwists really easily. And then you take your clines, slip it in there, being sure this whole time not to nick or cut the wires. And then you snip that off. Then this right here can relatively easy come right off. There you have plenty of wire to work with. Even this convenient, sharp little cutting edge for getting rid of the plastic sheathing. I shouldn't have to tell you that cut metal is sharp. Get that off. You can even go so far as to cut off that little corner just to soften it up just a little bit. And they make these little red inserts that fit in there to protect the wire. But I've gotten to the point where that's not really affected. So, all you do, run the wire in. Make sure you have that clamp opened up, and you close it down. Until it's nice and snug. Now I'm not going to need all of this, so I'll measure about across the panel, because I know that's about how much I'm going to need. Not even. And then I'm just going to cut it. Like I said, I'm showing you the basic way of how to do this with basic tools. Getting this set up to go into the panel. It's going to go right there, so I'm going to cut it and break it right there. Or break it and bend it. Just like I showed you before. Clean up that edge a bit. Boom, boom. It's a little plastic strip in there that tells you the information on the wire. I don't know if you can read that, but it gives you the information that the wire has. And then you carefully slide it in there, being sure not to touch the bus bar, the neutral or the line bus. It's a bit dusty. Get that in there. Wires out of the way. Tighten. Alright, so now I have the wire run. Now I'm going to show you how to wire it. Now, the way I am doing this is I am sharing the neutral for 2 different hots. Okay? Really, the only time to do that is single pole circuits or single, really the only time to do that is just when you got 2 circuits, boom, boom. Let me grab the breakers. Really, the only time to do that is when you have 2 circuits right next to each other, so they're on opposite phases. Alright, and by the way, how that hooks up is you'll see when you look at the panel, it'll have a little clip and then a notch. And that's how those work. Clip, notch. So one thing to do is to find out if your neutral and grounding system is bonded and if it has a specific neutral bus and a specific ground bus. In this instance, no, it's not. It is bonded, and it doesn't matter which one you put on because you usually have a grounding area and then a neutral area. This one, it's all the same. So, the neutral and the ground, neutral is always, should always, by code, be white or gray, I believe they still use. Ground is always, should always, by code, be green or bare. Like you see here it's bare wire. And all you do to strip that, if you don't have wire strippers, and most people do, I have some, I just don't use them because it is just as easy for me to grip it with the tip of my or with the cutters of my clients and pop it off. Alright. Show that again. Boom. Boom. So I will be stripping these off. Right, and those will be ready for when I hook up the breaker. As I was saying, though, I'm sharing a neutral. Normally, if you're just running one outlet, you'll have like a black, a white, and a green. A black, a white, and a ground. That's just one circuit. That's all you need. Adding a second hot to that, that's a little bit more advanced and complicated. You can run 3-wire or you can run 2 wires. It's all one and the same. Just don't cross your neutrals if you're running 2 different wires. And even then, it doesn't really matter if they're on the same phase or opposite phases. Okay, so before I hook these up to the breakers, just so that I know that you know that they're off, let's go down over here and wire this outlet up. Alright, now I've prepped this outlet for use of the Garvin cover. I've taken the wings off and such as that. You don't really need to do that unless you're using a Garvin cover. This here is a Garvin cover. It's nice and sturdy. It's a metal plate for it. And it sticks it out a little bit. So, and I've pulled out one screw off of each to use. The other 2 I'm not using because I'm not splitting the circuit. Or I'm not splitting the outlet for any reason. So, I've already stripped the wires. And for the neutral and the ground, I'm going to do something along the lines of this. It's a loop, all right, where one side is stripped and then looped and then it hooked on the other end to hook the two up. The two hots don't need that. They'll just hook straight up to it. So, like the loop, boom. There you go. The loop is there. Then I'll take the hot and go to the hot side, which is the gold screw. The small prong is the hot side prong. It's the gold screw as opposed to the silver screw. Gold screw, small prong, larger prong, silver screw. Silver screw is the neutral. Green screw is the ground. That's one side of it. All right, now I'm going to do the same thing with the second circuit. I'm going to hook the ground up. It does matter which way you put it on the screw. Think righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. As the screw bites down into the wire, it'll turn the wire with the screw. You don't want it pushing it off the wire. You want it tightening down onto the wire, and the wire to tighten into the screw. So with the ground, then I'll pull the neutral over and do the same thing with the neutral. Making sure it's in there tight. I'll pull the hot down. Turn the outlet. Do the same thing with the hot. You want the hooks on the end. All right. So now you have two circuits, two outlets, and a Garvin cover. Those two screws in the center will go to the two screw holes in the center there. I'm going to use my electric drill for this. Now, you carefully fold the wires. See, that holds that nice in there. You carefully fold and coil the wires into a nice spot inside the box, letting them fold so that they don't cross themselves and they don't touch bare to bare, or, bare wire. And take and screw the box together. And right there. Now let's move up to the panel. And they're right there. Let's move up to the panel now. All right, now for the panel, let me show you one of these breakers. you have the screw hole or the screw here. That's what connects the wire. Then you have that clamps focus on it. And then that clamps onto the bus. So, first, with the breakers off, I'm going to connect the ground. Up along the sides, you'll see a series of screws. Those are the grounding and the neutral bus. I'm going to open 2 of the screws. The empty screws, so that I can put in my wire. Put one in the neutral. I'll kind of neaten that up just a little bit. Then I'll take the ground and I'll put it right next to it. If this panel grounding system wasn't bonded, it is bonded to the panel, then you would have a neutral side and a ground side. Or you would have a separate grounding bar, down here or out, down on the side out here. That's where the grounds would go instead. But in this panel, it's all bonded together. Just because this got that little coil right there, I'm going to leave that up. I'll tuck that in so that it's a little bit nice and neat. Hold that out of the way. Alright, now I've got quite a bit extra wire, but I like to, especially for my personal panels, leave extra wire just in case I ever have to move things around. So I'm just going to fold that down. I'm going to do black first, over, connect it in, tighten that down, neaten it up, then do the same thing with the red. Loosen that out. That in, screw that down, and neatened up. Not super neat, but neat enough for my shop panel. All I have to do now is turn them on. If you like, you can take a tester and do some confirmations of voltages from neutral or ground, which I can get here so that you can see. I'm touching the neutral bus. Alright? Try to get it so you can see. Now, on my breakers, I have nothing. But when I turn them on one leg, I will have 120. On the other leg, I will have 120. Alright, so on. My outlet is live now. 120, 120, 120. And then across the two, I'll have 245. Not really necessary. I'm not doing a 220 with this, but I can in the future if I want to. Alright, let me find something and plug it in and see if it works. Alright, saw, outlet, plug it in. If you have a plug-in tester, that works too, but this is more fun. There you go. Check the other one. And I apologize for you headphone wearers out there. I now have an outlet. Thank you for watching. I really hope you learned something. Leave any questions or comments down below. I will get to them as I can. This is my day job. Very often I'm at work, so I can't always get to them immediately. So I'm not the one to call for an emergency electrical question. I will do my best to answer what I can. Thank you for watching. Be safe out there. And hearts and health, everybody. Don't forget, like, share, and subscribe. Channel's doing great. Loving it. You can hit the subscribe button right there. That'd be great. Check out the playlist for the electrical. And let's go with this video recommendation for you. Thank you very much.